Welcome to Gorilla Sports Off Field. I'm Liv Moods. That's Nate Jackson. And this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. We are back with Gorilla Sports Off Field in a new little setup here. Kind of digging it.
Kind of cool.
Looks like we're on the football field, actually.
Yeah.
But this is a very special episode, Nate, because for the first time in a long time, the Broncos are a playoff team, and they are taking on a very talented opponent this weekend in the Buffalo Bills. We know how great the Buffalo Bills have been playing, not just the Buffalo Bills, but Josh Allen.
Yeah.
The front runner to win MVP this season. The Bills started off their season pretty hot, and I kind of was expecting a fall off. Like, they're just kind of riding that high. I didn't think it would last, and it has lasted, Nate.
Yeah.
So the Broncos definitely have their hands full. I think right now in most sports books, the Bills are about a 9-point favorite.
Is that right?
Does that feel fair, or does that feel a little excessive? Nine is a lot of points in the NFL.
I think it feels fair as far as the point spread goes because of what you just mentioned. Buffalo Bills having a really good season, right? And the Broncos kind of sneaking into the playoffs, or at least maybe some folks might look at it that way. The Bills have home field advantage. It's really hard to go there and win.
Very hard.
They got the eventual or front runner for MVP, Josh Allen. They've been playing really good. They're second in the NFL in scoring points.
Oof,
and
hate that.
Right. Hate that for us.
Hate that for us.
But they haven't met the Denver Broncos defense yet, have they, Liv?
No, they have not.
So I think the point spread is fair, but I also don't make much of point spreads in the playoffs. I think that these teams, you know what I mean? It's not like a regular season. A lot of the variables that exist in the regular season do not exist in the playoffs. This is everybody balls out, as you say.
Oh.
Balls to the wall, as you say.
There it is. I know that one.
All out.
Okay. All out into the wall.
Win or go home.
There you go.
Okay?
To the window, to the wall.
And some of the kind of variables that exist in the regular season, like I said, don't exist in the playoffs. And for
Right.
the Bills, they've been a very good regular season game, but they have a history of letdowns in the playoffs. You mentioned them being good all year. They were. And a lot of times the teams that were good all year kind of falter in the playoffs.
Yeah. Maybe complacency.
Yeah. They get a little tight.
They get comfortable with the idea that they're a great football team.
Well, I think with the Bills, it's more of they have a muscle memory of disappointing ends to seasons. Okay, they did go to 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s and lost all 4 of them.
Ooh.
They have been on the doorstep with Josh Allen several times and then have pooped down their leg in the moment of truth. Little squirty squirt. But so and also the expectations are incredibly high there. Yeah. The Broncos' expectations pretty low, at least going into the season.
Sometimes that works in your favor.
It does.
Being the underdog, I think, you know what? More than the Broncos liking being villainized, underdogs, slept on, underappreciated, undervalued, Sean Payton, he eats that for dinner.
Oh, yeah.
He loves being underestimated because he knows he is a successful coach in the NFL.
Yeah.
He knows, he trusts his ability to coach and the culture that he's created at this point with the Broncos. And it took some time to get there. I wasn't super patient on the process. You guys can get in the chats and remind me about that. I'm aware I was not super patient, but what we're seeing with this Broncos team now is their identity is being exposed, and it's a good one. This comment says Broncos beat the Bills with Russ freaking Wilson. That is so true. Broncos can do it again. It's not too far-fetched. It's really not.
Broncos could donut again. I even like that better. I'd say they just
I know. I was trying to help him out, but I do like donut again.
I love donuts. Who doesn't?
You know what? Krispy Kreme would smack right now.
Yeah. And actually, fun fact, at least in the Shanahan era, in the locker room during games, and the players wouldn't eat these, but there'd be donuts. There'd be donuts.
Oh, I would be housing them.
I would too. So 53 guys suit up for the active, I'm sorry, 53 guys are on the active roster. 45 guys suit up for the game. So there are 8 guys who show up on game day and end up being told you're down, meaning you're not suiting up today. And what do those 8 guys do?
Eat donuts.
Eat donuts.
As they should.
And drink hot chocolate. That was me my first year as a tight end. I was inactive most of the games, and I'd walk in the locker room after practicing all week with the fellas, and one guy, there was a guy, a personnel guy, who'd be like, Nate, you're down. I'm like, oh, God. Because I always didn't know, actually.
Right.
It wasn't sure. So I would actually be going to sleep the night before thinking maybe I'm playing this game.
You're like,
maybe
I'm either
not.
playing football today or I'm eating donuts
Or I'm eating
today.
donuts. Yeah.
So not really, I don't think you can't really go wrong with either option. I'm
I
sure
would-
you'd rather play.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
of course.
sucked. I mean, the donuts were
But
fine
at
and
least
all,
they
but
gave you donuts.
They did have
when
donuts
you weren't
there.
playing.
So there will be a couple Broncos eating donuts on Sunday, but the rest of them hopefully will be taking it to the Bills. I agree with you that, they got it done with Russ Wilson. And Bo Nix seems to be an upgrade from Russell Wilson.
So I want to ask you, well, first, before we get too much into the Bills-Broncos matchup this weekend, I want to reflect on the regular season as a whole, because I think there's a lot to be proud of from this season. Obviously, 2 rookie quarterbacks playing in the playoffs is really exciting stuff. And I actually spend a lot of time talking with Debo, who's an active player. And that's the reason I'm bringing this up, about the young talent that is starting to emerge out of college play. You've got a lot of guys that if one and done was a thing, they'd be one and done. You've got that young 19-year-old in Alabama.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young talent. I believe there's another one at Arizona State that's a young guy, or maybe U of A. I'm not sure, one of the Arizona schools. And he's
Which one are you
phenomenal.
talking about? Running back?
I don't know if he's a running
what
back
did
or
you say?
not. He's young.
Sorry, I was looking.
No, you're good. Young guy. Basically, I was just talking with Debo about the fact that the talent on the collegiate level
The
is
receivers.
getting
Yeah,
so
Arizona
good.
has a really good one.
Yeah, they're getting really, really good. And so there's a lot of guys that if it were allowed to be a thing, they would be one and done. But, they've got to mature. And of course, there's some value in keeping them in at the college level so that they can thrive. But there is a lot of young talent in this league. And it's really, really cool, in my opinion, to see 2 rookie quarterbacks go to the playoffs. That being said, besides Bo Nix, because he has been exceptional, I think he's outplayed himself every week in some capacity. He did have some setbacks this season in terms of protecting the ball, which we know for the longest time he was really good at. He's a difficult quarterback to sack. Same with Jaden Daniels, because they're so mobile and they're so athletic. There's a lot we can take away from this. Let's say the Broncos lose this weekend. I still think there is a lot to be excited about from what we saw this season. What do you think, in your opinion, what made you the most proud watching the Denver Broncos this season?
So started off 0-2, right? And there was a conversation that was had at the beginning, well, even in minicamp and training camp, and it's, should Bo Nix be the starter?
Mm-hmm.
Jarrett Stidham was the incumbent. Jarrett Stidham finished last season as the starter. Bo Nix, the rookie coming in, had to earn it. And he did earn it in training camp. He was the better quarterback, but you also remember Zach Wilson was there. And I was there at training camp pretty much every day. And they all kind of looked the same in training camp. They all, and training camp's hard to.
It felt even for a little while.
It did.
Yeah,
but a lot of that is the way that training camp practices are structured, the way that meetings go, installation goes, the plays get put in. They tell you where to throw the ball, basically, and you know what defense you're going to see at practice, and so you know what the answer is before you step out there. Coaches want to know if you can do that first. Can you do it when we tell you the answer first?
Right.
Okay.
Can you pass the test with the answer sheet?
Right. It's like open book test.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Open notes. Oh, I used
Open
to love
notes.
an open note test.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then incrementally, you get challenged a little bit more as a quarterback. And when that started to happen, Bo Nix started to separate himself from the pack. And he earned that starting job. And there were folks that didn't want him to start the season because they didn't want him to get discouraged by adversity. Didn't want him to get his butt kicked the first 4 games and then lose his confidence forever.
Right.
Well, clearly they drafted this guy because he's not made of that stuff.
Right.
He's not going to get discouraged and get down on himself if he loses a game or if he throws an interception or if he has a bad performance. Number one, that's why they drafted him, because they felt good about the type of character he had to bounce back. So they gave him the starting nod, lost the first 2 games, and it didn't look that pretty. You know, there was some mistakes that were made. He didn't look very comfortable in the pocket. Yada, yada, yada. That's normal for a rookie. You would expect that. But he showed steady improvement throughout. And then for me, when I started to feel really good about it was when they went on the road and they won 2 games in a row.
Was that
against Tampa and Jets? And the Jets. And going into that road game or road series or whatever, people were like, well, it would be nice if they could just win one.
Just one.
But we're expecting him to, lose both. And they went in.
Especially against Aaron Rodgers and that Jets defense. And the Jets are stacked with talent. So
yeah, that was before we knew Aaron Rodgers would end up
pooping in his pants.
Pooper. But then he started to reveal himself as, more comfortable in the pocket, making plays with his legs that people didn't really expect. He's he's got some big thighs.
He does.
He's well built in the lower body. I'm sorry, that didn't come out right.
No, it didn't.
He's thicker. Okay. How are we gonna do this?
I'm not sure you can get out of this one.
He can run. Bo can run. Okay?
There you go.
Bo can run better than I think people assumed he was going to.
There you go.
I think he's taken people by surprise with his ability
agree.
running the football. He's running for 460 yards, and I
don't think people realize how athletic he is.
No, he's fast.
He's athletic.
Got good instincts. Yeah, very good.
Which
athlete.
you would assume every player in the NFL is athletic, but not always.
Right.
He is a true athlete.
Yep.
And he exposed that a lot this season.
He did, and so I think that his teammates saw that and were like, "Oh, okay, wow, this guy is."
We're good.
Yep, we're good.
We're good.
The pocket stuff, the reads, the processing, that's going to come because NFL defenses don't run. They don't play like college defenses.
Right.
They disguise what they're doing incredibly effectively.
Right.
So you step to the line of scrimmage and you think, oh, in college they looked like this, so they did this. No, they're doing that on purpose to make you think it, and then they rotate at the last minute.
He's a smart football player too.
He is, and so he's starting to figure that part out. And he's not perfect with that yet. You'll see him drop back on like 3rd and 12. He'll have more time in the pocket. He'll get a little skittish and run out instead of staying in the pocket, stepping up and throwing. That's stuff that Bo can still improve on. He knows it. But in spite of that, he's leading his team to victory. In spite of that, he's leading them to the playoffs. In spite of that, he's earned their confidence, not just the players, but the coaches. But
can I ask that? I don't have a microphone, so I apologize. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Him being able to run.
Yeah.
And what you're just saying, the teammates right now, how much of that is him like a competitive edge too, where players are saying that he's willing to.
He's got that dog in him.
Right, yeah. And make a play happen.
Yeah.
Take a hit.
Yeah.
To move the ball forward. How much of that weighs into what you're talking about with players recognizing that?
Yeah. I mean, Jesse asking how much of Bo's willingness to kind of throw his head in there is responsible for him earning the trust of his teammates. It's football. It's a violent game. And so if you have one guy who's turning down the physicality and just trying to, protect himself at all costs while everyone else does the dirty work, that doesn't sit very well. Cam Newton? Well, that one, yeah. But Cam Newton, he said Cam Newton, but Cam Newton also would put his head down and run over you. You know what I mean? And that's what Josh Allen does.
Right.
So, and that's why everyone loves Josh Allen on that team as well, because he throws himself into the fire. He's a football player. He's not just a quarterback. And
I think there are quarterbacks in the NFL, which is kind of aligning with what you guys are talking about, that do have a bit of a diva mentality.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
Patrick
almost
Mahomes.
Right. That's honestly more common than I think it's not.
Yeah.
And so when you get a young guy like Bo who came into this franchise very humbly but also confidently, that is like the perfect recipe for earning your teammates' respect.
Yeah.
And even just the way he speaks about his team and speaks after losses, you've got a guy like Aaron Rodgers that is quick to throw people under the bus when things don't go right.
Yeah.
And even though we know a lot of the passes that Bo Nix threw to people that weren't caught weren't always on Bo, he always took the blame.
Yeah.
He just knows that as the leader of the offense, that's what you do. And so I think so much of that too is that he doesn't have that diva mentality.
Yeah.
And you can credit that to just who Bo is as a human and as a quarterback, but I think you can also credit that to the culture that Sean Payton has established.
Yeah, he respects everyone in that locker room. He's talked about that a lot. It's not just me, it's everybody, and it's not just the starters. It's everybody on the team. It's a practice squad. Everybody's stepping up, and everybody belongs here. Everyone is putting them, their bodies on the line. They're focused. It's a team and it's a family, and he knows that. He started 61 games in college. That's a lot. And his dad was a coach, so he understands
experienced.
Yeah, exactly. And he understands what it takes to come together, have the chemistry, and have to earn it. And he's talked about that a lot. Like, I can't say anything. I can't say shit. I have to prove it. Like, I'm not going to go tell this guy to be better. I have to be better. Maybe after I'm better for a while, I can do that.
He even thinks about stuff like that at his age.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of, I think, some of those things that as you develop in the NFL, you learn along the way.
Yeah.
And he just already has that standard for himself, knowing that I can't ask of my teammates what I'm not also giving them, and almost, I think he holds himself to a higher standard than he even holds his teammates. And that's why sometimes he can take the blame for something that wasn't necessarily his fault. I do think a turning point for Bo, and I talk about this and I make jokes about it and whatever. In my opinion, a turning point for Bo was also when he stood his ground against Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Because I think from that moment moving forward, Sean Payton also that was the moment right there that Bo earned Sean Payton's respect.
Whoa,
Sean
Bo,
Payton,
okay.
right. Sean Payton already knew Bo was talented and that he was very supportive of Bo being a Denver Bronco from day one. He saw in Bo what we're now seeing on the NFL level.
Yeah.
The experience that he had in college, his ability to read the game, his athleticism. These are all things Sean Payton knew about Bo, but I don't think what he knew about Bo was that he does have that dog. And we got to see that when he barked back at Sean Payton a little bit, something Russell Wilson as a however many year veteran couldn't even do. Bo Nix was like, no, that was you, not me. That was not my fault. And so I think in that moment, he established a level of trust between him and Sean Payton. And when you've got that coach quarterback dynamic,
it's very important.
It's very important. Very important.
And Sean Payton was a quarterback. A lot of these former quarterback coaches, geniuses, incredibly difficult to play for, especially when you're a quarterback, because the expectations they have on you, the reads you're going to make, the way you're going to conduct the offense, that's what they would do.
Right.
And they're not there. They didn't make it as far as you did. So they didn't have the physical talent that you have. They have the mind for it. Clearly the operational ability to run an organization and to see, how to all the moving parts, but they didn't have the ability on the field that you have. And so there is a give and take, and there is a little bit of a pushback that the on the field quarterback has to have with a coach like Sean Payton. And if you don't have that tension, someone told me yesterday that friction makes, what was it, Jesse?
Takes friction to make motion.
Takes friction to make motion. And right, Jesse.
Wow.
And that seems to be the case with Sean and Bo, and really, a lot of good relationships. Like, you have to challenge each other.
Yes.
And I'm not on, as a coach, I'm not on the field. I want you to see what I see, but at the same time, I got to trust you to go make plays. And that's what Bo was trying to tell Sean. Like, I'm trying to make a play out here.
Yeah.
And
let me play. Like, let me play the game I know how to play.
Like, you call the play, you put it in all week. We know what you told us to do. Call the play, and then let me run the play.
And then let me do
decide,
my job. Yep.
Right? You can't always give me the answer, like we were talking about before. It's not open book test.
Yeah,
it's not open notes now.
Yeah,
that's gone. You're not out here. You're not putting a script together. You're not telling the defense what to run. They're running whatever they want.
Yep.
And I got to be able to react to it.
Yep.
And so I think it's important that he did push back. But you also remember Bo was challenged by the Raiders. Like, Max Crosby was on a podcast this week talking about how, like, he was barking at Bo, and Bo just looked at him like, what? Like, he wasn't bothered by this, whereas Max Crosby, who's one of the most fearsome defenders in the league, talks shit to everyone, and a lot of quarterbacks are probably like, oh god, shaking.
I think I would poop my
but he basically said Bo looked at him unfazed. And then also, you remember from that one game, there was a clip right before the end of that, or right before a commercial break or something, where a guy was barking at Bo, and he's like, crazy eyes, like, you ain't got no
honestly
chance,
he looked like he was foaming at the mouth. I was like, he's an animal,
right?
Yeah,
had kind of that Tom Brady in him, because Tom Brady would do some of that stuff too. Even though if any of those defenders laid a hand on Tom Brady, they'd snap him like a twig. I think Bo Nix is a little bit better shape than Tom.
Yeah,
can run more than Tom.
Stronger. Yeah,
probably has run more in this rookie season than Tom did in his entire 25-year NFL career, probably. So time will tell if he can process the game and be a leader and a fierce competitor like Tom Brady was. But first year, Bo Nix, he has more yards and more touchdowns than Josh Allen. Did you know that? Who's the front runner for MVP? Yeah, Josh Allen's got 12 rushing touchdowns, which Bo doesn't have. But Bo Nix has had a remarkable rookie year. And so it's going to be really interesting to see what happens on Sunday.
This comment here, Broncos have 6 all-pro players for the first time since 1996. Anyone that thinks the Broncos don't have a chance is not being objective. #donuts. We agree with you, Donut Man. We really do. I couldn't agree more. Now, one of the other things I'm exceptionally proud of from the regular season with this Broncos team is the defense. And there's a lot of credit we can give to our defense for making big momentum shifting plays, to also just their consistency across the board. This to me is a defense that was playing at a championship level all season long. And that's a really great feeling, considering that under Vance Joseph last year, it wasn't until about week 7 that we saw the defense looking promising. There were some games in there, not sure if you remember the 70 piece that the Dolphins put on the Broncos' head, just foul behavior. Wow. Not good. They lost that game by 50, and that is not a joke. 50, and they allowed the Dolphins to score 70. So I think there were a lot of concerns about what this defense would look like under Vance Joseph, and early season injuries to the defense as well. Some very valuable players that you're like, oh, how are they going to do this? And they looked great. Nick Bonito could have made a case for himself for Defensive Player of the Year. Right now, Pat Surtain is the favorite to win Defensive Player of the Year. You've got a lot of guys on this defense that have done their part. And again, also, we're watching in moments the defense encouraging Bo Nix. This is really a team sport. And so I think our defense has had so many of those momentum shifting plays in the middle of tough games. And they've cut our offense a lot of breaks. And it took a while for our offense to actually take advantage of those opportunities. But our defense did create a lot of opportunities for our offense to thrive. So you have to give credit where it's due in terms of the defense. And we actually have a clip that we can run from Vance Joseph himself talking a little bit ahead of this playoff game, because one of my next questions for you, Nate, is what do the Broncos need to do to win? And I think our defense is a very massive part of that. So let's hear from Vance Joseph really quick. We'll break down what he said and talk about how important the defense will be this weekend.
Do you see similarities between Vaughn and Nick at all?
Come on, don't do that to me. I mean, Nick's a fine player, but Vaughn's done it for a long time. You know, it's Nick's first year making all these teams and having a great year. Obviously, he has some of those similar traits, but what makes you a great player is obviously longevity and doing it multiple years, and he hasn't done that yet.
Fair enough. You can't really be mad at that response.
He talks a lot.
He does. Very ASMR of him.
Very, very controlled.
Yeah.
But what happens when he freaks out?
Well, here's the deal. The defense is going to be very important. More than that, we got to stop Josh Allen. How do we do it?
Yeah.
How do we do it, Nate?
So
besides violence.
Well, that's number one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Then I guess violence.
I mean, we shouldn't parse words. Football is about violence. It's about setting a tone physically, attacking someone and trying to submit them, trying to make them quit, trying to extract the soul from their body, hold it in your hand and then eat of it and watch it drip down your chin and have his mom watching this happen. That's
I'm currently locked in a very small closet with this man, and so if I go missing, just know that was the creepiest thing I've ever heard.
Okay.
But you're right. You do have to have.
And that's sports. You're trying to take the will of your opponent. You're trying to attack.
Of course.
This is not for fun, even though it is fun. But we got another Vance clip ready. But I do want to talk about this defense because you talked about it in the regular season and the things they did that were special. This team led the NFL in sacks. This is without having a 10 sack player since 2018, since Von Miller was here, and we're playing against Von Miller, like we just heard right there. This Broncos team has 2 double-digit sackers, Jonathan Cooper and of course Nick Bonito. They have found a way to get to the quarterback in ways that they haven't in years, and I think that has a huge reason why they are in the playoffs, and that's going to be a huge component to this game against the Bills and what they can do against Josh Allen. But let's hear from VJ again.
The biggest issue is the secondary, staying in coverage that long and plastering receivers. They do a great job with their scramble drill of finding the quarterback's eyes and making big plays. Again, most of their big plays are made on the second act, so that's our challenge this weekend. You can't just contain without rushing this guy. So that's the issue. If you try to just contain him without putting pressure on him, he's going to buy time and just make plays. So the issue is, how to contain the guy and also push the pocket and pressure him. So, again, I won't share a game plan, but you have to have ways to do both.
I think you guys forced 4 takeaways last year when you beat them there. They've only turned it over 8 times all year. How critical will that be to get a couple from them?
Well, you're in the playoffs now. The ball is everything. And obviously their keys to victory has been taking care of the football and playing great defense and running the football. So it's a challenge, but we have to hunt the ball. If he makes a mistake, we have to, make our plays. And that's what's key there. But he's been really good at taking care of the ball this year.
Because they don't maybe have like a defined number one, does that some ways help you in that you're not having to maybe move Pat to chase a Jamar and you can be a little better in your disguising if you want?
I think it helps the quarterback more than it helps us, right? Because the quarterback's not focused on one guy. It allows him to be true to his reads and to find an open guy. So it helps the QB more than it helps us. Obviously, Pat's going to have his role, in this game. Most teams have avoided Pat, so we have to find ways to help others and allow Pat to be Pat.
Honestly, we know after hearing Vance Joseph speak, but not even just hearing Vance Joseph speak, just watching this Buffalo Bills team throughout the season, it is not sounding like they have their guard down at all. They know what they're walking into. They know the offense that they're up against. More importantly, what Vance Joseph said was, you really can't give Josh Allen any time because he will make a play. And
Yeah.
we know that. Josh Allen is currently the front runner to win MVP for a reason. He will find a way to make a play. So our defense sounds like they are prioritizing minimizing Josh Allen's time frame so that he cannot do a thing.
and to say it more concisely, sounds like they are prioritizing violence.
I agree with that.
Josh Allen can't stand back there and pick you apart. There's a debate going on how to stop Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and guys like that who are dangerous with their legs. It's, do you try to keep them in the pocket and just have them beat you from the pocket and not attack? We tried that with Lamar Jackson a couple years ago. I don't know if you guys remember that it's called a mush rush, where you're trying to mush the pocket back, but don't give him any lanes to run through and don't really attack. You just try to keep him in the pocket. Well, guess what he did? He sat back there and picked us apart. He's a very good thrower. Josh Allen is a very good thrower. The more time you give him, the harder it is for the secondary to cover these guys. They can't cover them forever. Okay, they could be right in their hip pocket for 3-4 seconds, but then a guy gives them a little wiggle and gets wide open, and Josh Allen will find him. You heard Vance Joseph talk about they're really good with their eyes in the scramble drill. The scramble drill means when the play breaks down and your quarterback gets out of the pocket, the rest of the receivers give him throws at a lot of different levels and angles and come back to him and move with him in a very seamless, very organic way. Not a lot of players do that. Not a lot of teams do that, and it takes a sort of chemistry that isn't easy to come by. And that chemistry comes from playing a lot together and having a coach who dials that up and lets the quarterback run with it and sometimes do it at practice and allows, kind of takes the reins off a little bit and lets these guys play schoolyard football. That's what the scramble drill is. It's schoolyard football. Let's make a play. Josh Allen, very good at that. The way you keep him from doing that is you freaking tackle him in the pocket. The Broncos have 64 sacks on the season, something like that. I got a stat for you, Liv.
Hit me with it.
This is the first time ever in the playoffs that a team with more than 60 sacks meets a team that's allowed fewer than 15 sacks. Josh Allen's only been sacked 14 times. Do you like that stat?
Not really.
No, it's a cool stat, though.
I'm glad. I like the stat that you brought to the show. I don't like the fact that Josh Allen
he doesn't get sacked.
Hasn't right.
And so something's
but he hasn't seen the Broncos yet.
Something's got to give. Vance just said we have to put pressure on him. We cannot do this mush rush thing and then just try to play coverage behind him. He's going to find guys. And I've been a receiver. If I have 5, 6, 7 seconds to get open, it doesn't matter who's covering me. It could be Deion freaking Sanders. I'm getting open. All right.
Is that right?
Yeah. I could run a slant on Coach Prime. He ain't whatever. We don't want to go there, right? We don't want to go there.
Proof or it didn't happen.
I mean, Champ was just as good of a cover guy as Deion, and I did it every day at practice. So I'm just saying.
Bangers.
Well, we're all pro football players out there.
And
so this is something you cannot underestimate. And I know it's like this Buffalo Bills nameless offense. Like, who are these guys? Do they even have any playmakers? They're the second scoring offense in the league. Yes, they score a ton of points and they find
a way.
Exactly. Josh Allen's the MVP. Obviously, his players are playing well. You cannot underestimate his skill position players. You will at your own peril. They'll get behind you. They'll get in front of you. They will break tackles. You have to take every man seriously on that field. I know they're going to do that. But it's sometimes in the analysis, we think if it's not a big name guy, then he doesn't have playmaking ability. What did folks think about this Broncos offense, early in the season? There's no playmakers. Well, are there playmakers now? We're starting to see guys making plays, right? Because they've been given opportunities. Marvin Mims.
You don't have to be a household name to make a play.
No, Marvin Mims, clearly a playmaker. Cortland Sutton, we already knew that, but Devon Vele is becoming a playmaker. And so we're still waiting for Troy Franklin to get unlocked. But they have playmakers on both sides of the ball. And so when it comes to containing Josh Allen, you have to put pressure on him and make him feel it. You got to hit him. And I think that this Broncos defensive line has the ability to do that.
I agree. Now, one thing I want to point out is Vance Joseph can only control what Vance Joseph can control, and that's making sure his defense is prepared and ready to go. Where our offense can step in and help is stay on the field.
Yep.
This is not going to be an easy game for our defense. Josh Allen is not an easy quarterback to sack. This defense is going to have to keep pressure on Josh Allen for 4 quarters of very tough playoff football.
Yeah.
Our offense has to help our defense by getting the first down, running the football, staying on the field, because we've seen a lot of games this season, which is my only concern, is our offense struggling to get the first down. And just like that, our defense had maybe 10 seconds of rest, 10 seconds for water. They're back out on the field, and it looks like that all game. So in order for our defense to do their job, our offense also has to do their job, which of course that seems just like a very simple concept. Everybody needs to do their job, but I do think not only does our offense need to do their job for the sake of keeping up with the Bills, but also making our defense's life easier, because it has been a long season and they will get tired if they're constantly on the field for 4 quarters up against an MVP.
Yeah, it's a critical point that you made, and it's something that is about the balance and taking care of business in all phases, and one phase affecting the other phase. That Cincinnati Bengals game, the Broncos defense was incredibly tired.
Very.
I mean, they
were
had
gassed.
they were on the play for 25 more plays than their offense was, and at the end of that game, that second, in the overtime, they actually stopped them on the first drive, and then they got it back, and by then they were just so gassed, and they gave up some big plays and lost that game. You want to call the game in a way that allows your defense to sit on the sideline, and of course, picking up those first downs is really crucial. And as you were talking, I remembered like another stat about how the Broncos had the second most 3-and-outs in the NFL, which makes their sack total all that much more impressive, because the defense is not getting these long sustained drives by the offense. Yes, the offense went in bunches. They had some really great moments or clusters of scoring, but they had a lot of 3-and-outs. And to think that the defense was still able to get back on the field and put pressure on the quarterback and create sacks says a lot about what this defense is doing.
Yep.
But you're absolutely right. They got to find a running game on Sunday.
That'll be the one thing.
One would think, right? And so who's going to be that lead back? It's probably Jaleel. He has been that guy the last several weeks, but we've also seen Sean Payton like defy logic by putting a different guy in when you think it's going to be one guy. Javonte Williams.
He was breaking some tackles.
Yeah.
Was it last game or was it the Bengals game or the Chiefs? I think it was the Bengals game. Maybe. I don't know. But I have seen some things from Javonte Williams that I'm like, all right, we could work with that.
Yeah.
And maybe there is a world where having 3 backs that Sean Payton is like interchangeable with can be used as a weapon against this Bills team. They don't know who to prepare for, because Sean Payton, every week it looks different who he's trying to utilize in that position. I think you've got 3 guys that could do the job. But there's also, to me, that might have been maybe one of the mistakes that Sean Payton made this season, was not solidifying who your number 1 running back is and letting them get better every game.
Yeah, that's the thing, because
that's where I think he went wrong this season.
Yeah, you're playing in Buffalo. It's very cold. And what happens when you're standing around in the cold? You get stiff, you get tight.
You do.
And so if you're doing a rotating cast of running backs every series, which he sometimes seems to do, the guy who's not getting the ball might be standing still for 20 or 30 minutes and then go out there for 2 minutes. And if it's 3 and out, he's back on the sideline for another 20 or 30 minutes. He can never really get the lather going and really get in the, like, running backs like to take a hit. And then they like to get up and get in the motion and start to wear down a defense. And the offensive line has a lot to do with that. They're firing off and wearing down that defense. And that's why the running game is important, especially on the road like that, because you get to wear down the defense. You get to become the aggressor. This offensive line wants to attack. They don't want to always drop back and try to block. These guys want to fire off and put their hat on somebody and drive them backwards. That's what offensive linemen do well. And that's what Quinn Miners is a all-pro because of his ability to do that, to get to the second level, to pancake dudes. I mean, these guys, every Sunday, they're eating at IHOP. You know what I mean? Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruity over here. These guys are pancaking guys. I mean, I tell you what. Yes.
I think Original Pancake House is better.
It is. No, it is. It is
very good.
It's the best.
It's actually the best.
I used to live right next to the one on Bellevue and I-25, and I used to go, like, I know everybody there, and like
it's so good.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong. You don't have to get pancakes. I mean,
people are gonna make fun of me, but when I go there, I just get a bunch of sides.
Like what?
Cottage cheese.
Why don't you go to the grocery store? King Soopers.
Slices of tomatoes.
Oh, come on.
With salt and pepper on them, and then an over medium egg with feta cheese on top.
That's why you go to Original Pancake House?
You go to a restaurant and pay someone
yes.
to bring you cottage cheese?
Yes. It always tastes better when they do it. I do also, in addition to the sides, I will get like a piece of French toast or something like that. But for the most part, I really like their sides.
Yeah.
A few pieces of bread and then some cottage cheese, tomatoes, and an egg with feta cheese.
Well, The green chili omelet is fire there. If you want to try.
He's like,
that
if you
one.
want to not do
Yeah, do
what
that.
you can get at the grocery store.
I like the apple waffle. The apple Belgian waffle is really good.
Oh.
And then I'll get some side of some eggs and some like sausage or something like that.
Perfect. There you go, guys.
All the different pancakes. The 49er flapjacks are really good too. And they're like super thin and like chewy, but they're huge and they're really yummy.
What's the difference between a flapjack and a pancake?
The pancakes are fluffier.
Oh.
The flapjack is like it's almost crepe style, but it's like bigger and it's really good.
I wouldn't know. I get tomato slices.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I bet Quinn Miners doesn't go for the tomato slices and the cottage cheese. He goes for the whole shebang. And I think, him being voted an all-pro along with who else was on that all-pro list? Marvin Mims, Nick Benito, PS2, of course, and Zach Allen.
Yeah.
I think it was 5. I think one of our listeners mentioned it was 6, but I believe it's 5 pro or all pros.
Sorry, keep going. I'll count.
Okay. So anyway, you remember PFF had this as the last ranked roster in the league. Clearly, they're going to amend that ranking next year. Those geniuses over there. I was talking to somebody, a scout for a team, an AFC team. He's a friend of mine, but he was telling me about PFF and like the things he uses and doesn't use. But he said like PFF came and did a presentation to all their scouts and they're like, anybody can do it. Like there's soccer moms and housewives who are doing it. Like you can break down tape. Anyone can do it. So like,
well, that makes a lot of sense.
Exactly. Then. Like what are we doing over here at PFF?
So it was
5 all pros.
Quinn Miners and Marvin Mims first team.
Okay.
Zach Allen, Nick Benito, each second team.
Okay, cool. So 5 all pro, 3 first team, 2 second team. And clearly
pretty impressive.
Yeah, for a team that had this low of expectations. They've already exceeded all the expectations. That's why I think they can play free. They can just go out there and play free while the Bills are going to be playing tight,
Sometimes when you don't have that weighted pressure of being expected to win, you play better.
Oh yeah.
I think we're going to see Bo Nix kind of similarly in the way that we saw him against the Chiefs with no starters, taking a few more risks, playing a little fun, playing a little cute, and it worked out for him. Playing some cute football, okay? Seriously.
All-pro, Lamar Jackson is back to being the favorite for MVP.
Oh!
After he received 30 first place All-Pro votes to Josh Allen's 18. So
bangers.
He's officially the
that's actually breaking news a little bit because for a while now, we were just told by our producer Jesse that Lamar Jackson is now officially the favorite to win MVP after how many more first team All-Pro votes he got over Josh Allen. Now, I'm a little disappointed that it took this to make Lamar Jackson the favorite. In statistically just about every category, he has had a better year than Josh Allen.
Yeah.
The only difference is the Bills have a slightly better record than the Ravens. However, you could look at the division games for the Bills versus the division games for the Ravens and say,
yeah, that's true. Yeah, the Bills.
The Ravens had a tough schedule.
Bills get to play the Jets twice, the Patriots
and the Jets
twice,
are poo-poo caca.
Dolphins, which aren't very good.
That's what I'm saying. Tua was out with so I'm like, I don't know if you should hold a record above a quarterback's head for MVP. And I say quarterback because we know it is typically a quarterback award. I don't agree with that. And honestly, that's the only reason that, in my opinion, Josh Allen was the favorite over Lamar, because in statistically every category, Lamar Jackson has had a better season. So just so you guys know, we just found out Lamar is now the favorite to win MVP. And honestly, I think he should be the winner. And again, if you really want to talk about what I just said, which is you shouldn't hold their record against them, the award would be Joe Burrow's otherwise. Yeah. And it wouldn't even be close.
Well, yeah. I mean, Bo Nix has more. You see those guys right there. Bo Nix has more yards than Josh Allen.
Bangers.
And more touchdowns. Maybe more rushing yards too. I don't know. Not more rushing touchdowns. But I think there's an element of like, they want to give it to Josh Allen because he hasn't won it yet. And he's been so close.
Oh, pee-pee poo-poo. I don't care. Jeez. What are we, babies? Goo goo gaga? Seriously.
Because Lamar has won it twice. This would be his third.
Okay. Guess what? Nikola Jokic has won it 3 times. It should have been 4, and it's going to be 5. Get over it. Play better.
Right. No, I'm with you. I would probably give it to Lamar as well. But Josh Allen, there's an element of this sort of approach, I think, with the football writers of America and those who vote, that they want to kind of reward. It's like a legacy sort of award where you've been good for so many years and you got to get in line. It's like the guys who make the Hall. Why are you looking at me like that?
I just don't. I hate
You don't like
that.
this logic.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
I'm not disagreeing with
No,
you.
you're
You're
right.
just the messenger.
No,
but I don't like
I
it.
might have something in my teeth. But
You
but
don't. You're good.
okay, cool.
You're safe.
But it's the same way with the Hall of Fame. Like Mike Shanahan should have been in a long time ago, but he has to like wait in line and stuff. And so eventually he will. And I think they might just want to give it to Josh Allen. But I think also what happens in the playoffs is going to matter, isn't it? Or when do they
It's
award
just regular
that?
season.
I know
It's
I know
supposed
it
to
is
be
just regular season, but they give it. When do they give it?
I think voting closes before the playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So playoffs, I don't think technically like matter, but again, it feels like if you're like, oh, Lamar Jackson statistically was better in every category, but Josh hasn't had it yet. What are we doing? Are we giving like participation ribbons out? Josh has done more with less talent. Yeah, but can you punish a quarterback for having Derrick Henry? No. It's actually, it's arguably more impressive that through the air, Lamar Jackson has had a better season than Josh, given that he has Derrick Henry.
And he's got like
You could
800
make a
yards
case-
on the ground and has Derrick Henry.
That's what I'm saying. So you could actually, like, I could also go against what that comment just said, which I do agree with that comment. Josh has done more with less. However, you could also argue it's very impressive that Lamar has put up the numbers he has, given he has a Derrick Henry.
Yeah,
They could just run the ball every game and probably still win the same amount of games. But
yeah.
Lamar is also running the ball. Lamar is through the air. He's protecting the football.
Yeah.
So you could make a case, I guess, with that comment against that comment, because it doesn't always equate. Having more doesn't always mean you have an MVP level season.
Right. And both of these guys have played fantastic. So don't want to take away from either of their performances, because
we can.
led
He's the
their
enemy.
teams to some pretty great seasons. But I would say this, that there would be something sweet about Josh Allen winning the MVP and then getting sent home in the first round by the Broncos too. It would be such a hollow trophy. He'd be like, who cares about this trophy? It's what matters is that we reached the Super Bowl. And in Buffalo, they're saying Super Bowl or bust. Like anything less than a Super Bowl for the Bills is a disappointment for that fan base. And so when you're going into the first round against the lowly Broncos, who are the 7th seed, there is an opportunity there for the Broncos to sneak in to that insecurity that exists in Buffalo and put a beat down on the Bills. I really think there's an opportunity for that.
I agree. We do have one more clip we're going to run really quick, and it's an exclusive one-on-one actually that we got with Garrett Bolles. Let's listen to that, and then we will give our predictions and talk about what needs to be done this weekend in order for the Broncos to win. So let's check out Garrett Bolles first, and then we'll break down this weekend's playoff game before we get out of here.
GB, you touched on it on Sunday about Vaughn. He was, of course, quick to shout you out when talking about how much he loves Denver. So how easy is it to separate your friendship from the competition? Because he said for the 3 or 4 seconds of every play, he wants to win his play and get to the quarterback.
I'll give him a hug on the field. No, man, I love Vaughn. I really do. He's been an older brother to me. He's like family to me. My kids know him as Uncle Vaughn. I mean, my whole family knows him. We've spent a lot of time together. We talk periodically each month, probably multiple times a month. And but yeah, it's definitely going to be weird. But I'm excited for the challenge. They're a great team. You know, he definitely has taught those young guys a lot of moves. And you know, he's there for a reason. He's one of the best for a reason. And I'm definitely gonna have to put our friendship to the side those 3-4 seconds. But he'll always be family. So, but you know, it's like an older brother thing. You know, you always want to rough him up just a little bit.
Let's just put the elephant in the room. Let's stick the elephant inside the room. Actually, that's what I just said. Didn't mean. Right. There it is. Okay. No, and it's not really an elephant. I think this is common knowledge, but there's no way Von Miller does not retire his jersey here. He loves Denver.
Yeah, but Sean Payton, like, he don't care about that.
He can't be a turd sandwich like that.
About that. Yeah, maybe retire, but no, I don't think they're going to bring him back and have him play again.
Everyone does want that. I don't see
Sean Payton doing that.
I don't either.
Because, you know, there's a reason why Justin Simmons isn't here and Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy. I don't think the sentimental moments of Broncos past matter at all to Sean Payton. And actually, I think he's trying to distance himself from it.
Screw your memories.
I'll tell you this, though. He's very respectful of the alumni when they come around.
Oh,
He talks about, you know, how they paved the way, and the standard of excellence here was why he came here, and the ownership was aware of that, and the, you know, Super Bowls of the past. That is important for Sean Payton to have those, you know, that foundation here.
Yep.
But to bring someone like Vaughn back, like an actual player, and put him on the team that he's trying to build a new culture with, I think would be dangerous personally.
I agree.
Or at least a little risky. As much as Vaughn means to the city, as awesome as he is, I think they would find a way to honor him and retire him a Bronco without having him actually suit up and try to become part of this rotation, which is one of the best in the league. I mean, the best in the league. Where does Vaughn fit here? So, yeah, it's going to be look, Vaughn is a Bronco at heart.
He loves the
clear
Broncos.
Every time he talks.
Oh my gosh. Every time he posts on social media, it's like I won't see anything.
I mean,
from
they
him.
are doing
right. I'm like, oh my gosh, he loves this city. And I think it's probably maybe difficult for players to face someone like, for Garrett specifically. You spend a lot of time with your teammates, and I think he has a lot of admiration for Vaughn and how talented Vaughn is. But at the end of the day, violence is the answer.
Yeah, and Nick Benito's the new Vaughn, right? I mean, he's doing
a pretty good job.
He is. I mean, he's physically kind of has some similar bend to get low and around guys and then leverage it and bump and bull rush guys who are 100 pounds heavier than him. So I think he has a lot of the athleticism that Vaughn had. Vaughn was a little stronger, a little more explosive, but Nick Benito really carrying that load. And so I think that it would be hard for Vaughn to get here, but it's going to be fun to see him out there on Sunday, going against his former team. And of course, he wants to affect the game. He wants to come up with a big play. He wants to do what he used to do with the Broncos and send him home or not. Maybe he's going to be like, I want you guys to advance.
He trips Josh on the way out.
Oops.
Josh is walking out on the field. Vaughn says, trip.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Well, before we get out of here, we've got a couple things. We have some very exciting Broncos coverage that we are going to talk about at the end of this show for this weekend. So you guys will be all up to date on all things Broncos as they are taking on the Buffalo Bills this weekend. But before we get out of here, Nate, we know run game is going to be exceptionally valuable in this one. And in so many ways, I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy here, but in so many ways, it may be too late to have the run game be what you need it to be this weekend.
Make a point.
I'm not saying that they can't do it, but we haven't seen it be enough of a priority this season that I think all of a sudden we're going to get the best form of our run game this weekend against the Bills.
It's like trying to cram for a dental exam.
Correct.
You got the cavity. It's too late.
Like your tooth is turning black. Yeah. It's over with. Okay. You're going to have to get drilled and poked and all the things. So I do think in so many ways it's a little too late for the run game to be what it needs to be this weekend. That being said, there's other elements to this Broncos team that make them capable of beating the Bills. In your opinion, give us your score prediction and how you think it will get there this weekend for both the Broncos and the Bills.
I think the Broncos are going to win this game. I'm going to put that right now. I think it's going to be kind of close. I think it's going to be like a 24-19, 24-20 type of a game.
Don't mess with my emotions.
I'm just telling you the Broncos are going to win. Okay? That's what I think. That's what I think. Maybe I'm just being a homer. Maybe I'm just because I know this team. I've been following and I feel good about what they're doing. I'm sure the folks in Buffalo will say the same thing for their squad.
Of course.
But I feel good about where they're at because of, the fact that they snuck into the playoffs, the fact that no one believed in them, the fact that Sean Payton has been here before a million times. And I think the coaching advantage goes to Sean Payton and the Broncos. I think this young and hungry team that he's talked about is going to play free, is going to play loose and be able to take advantage of some folks. And this defense that the Broncos have will make life hard on Josh Allen. But I'll say that there will be some interesting elements to it. And one of them was the one I mentioned before. The Broncos lead the league in sacks. Josh Allen's only been sacked 14 times, a league low. So something's got to give there. The Broncos have to find a way to get to Josh Allen. If they don't, it's going to be a long day for the Broncos. I do believe that. Josh Allen's a very seasoned quarterback. He'll stand back there and pick them apart if they can't get to him. So they got to get to Josh Allen, and I think they are going to be able to. But on the other side of the ball, the Buffalo Bills defense is really good at taking the ball away. They've recovered a ton of fumbles and they've had a ton of interceptions. They're not a great defense as far as the yards, but they tighten up in the red zone and they cause turnovers. The Broncos have been really good at protecting the football. And so if Bo Nix somehow or for some reason forgets how to do that, this is, again, going to be a long day for the Broncos. But I see the Broncos offense continuing to protect the ball. Okay, not putting the ball on the ground and not throwing interceptions. And I see the Broncos defense finding a way to get to Josh Allen. That's the reason I think the Broncos are going to have a chance to win this game. And then I think the wild card of it is going to be the special teams because the Buffalo Bills special teams ain't very good. And guess what? Marvin Mims is. He's a two-time Pro Bowler, and now he's a second-team All-Pro returner. Marvin Mims is going to have some big returns and set the Broncos up with good field position, and the Broncos are going to find a way to win this game. 24. First-team All-Pro. My bad. He's a first-team All-Pro guy. Broncos are going to win.
Here's the deal. From what I gathered from that, and I agree.
Let me ask a question.
Yeah.
Before are you at all concerned about a 1-6 record against playoff teams?
Nah, because
Jesse asked if we're concerned at all about a 1-6 record against playoff teams.
Look, the Broncos are learning. They have had
They are.
some games that weren't great. They did get beat bad by the Ravens. They did get have a heartbreaking loss against the Chiefs, right? They did have a heartbreaking loss against the Bengals. And they did the week before have kind of a really bummerific letdown against the Chargers. But
Oh, gosh, that game is still my least favorite.
yeah, but they're learning from these experiences, guys.
Mhm.
And I think that's what gives me encouragement.
They're
is
tightening things up every week.
And they've come back
which is great.
strong
Yes.
when they've faced adversity.
Yes.
And I thoroughly believe that this Buffalo Bills team is a team that's primed for a letdown because they're going to be playing tight and the expectations are so high over there that these guys are not going to play free and play their best football. That's what I think.
I agree. I think two things. One is for offense, one is for defense, but they are the same. The Broncos will win this game if they can not turn over the ball and force turnovers on the ball. Those are two things that I think if Bo Nix can do what he did so well for most of the season, which is protect the football, our offense is going to find a way to make plays. We've seen them get better every single week. If our defense can force a turnover in any capacity, they're going to gain the momentum. And we've seen them in so many momentum shifting moments this season that have been so important for this team. Turnovers are going to be the X factor of the game this weekend on both sides. Yeah. If their defense finds ways to recover fumbles, get interceptions, pick sixes, it's going to be a long day for the Broncos. If the Broncos find a way to make that happen, it's going to be a long day for the Bills. So turnovers to me is the golden ticket here.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, and Josh Allen hasn't thrown a lot of interceptions this season. Maybe he will this week. Also, energetically, you got to hit him first. You got to be the aggressor.
Yes.
Go on attack. Don't wait for Josh Allen to come down and score. You go down and score first. Mm-hmm. You pressure him first. You cause an interception. You go down and hit somebody. I mean, create an energetic advantage for your team from the start. Come out there and have them go, wow, these guys are flying around. They're ready to play. We didn't think the Broncos were going to be this fast. Mm-hmm. Play faster than them. If you make a little mistake here and there, don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world. Go out there, play free, enjoy yourself, and play with passion. I think that if they do that, the Broncos can jump out to a lead. Also, it's going to be loud there. It's going to be very loud. And so if you go, if you go down and score on your opening possession, guess what? It gets a little quieter.
Oh, and then shut them up. How about that?
Yeah. And if you go down and score again, guess what? They start to shut up. Okay. You want to shut them up. All right. I've been in that stadium and I have seen them shut up. Okay. They are loud, but they're ready to shut up if you shut them up.
All you got to do is shut them up.
Shut them up.
And all you got to do is don't turn over, force turnovers.
Boom.
Bangers.
Boom.
Mic drop. And all that to say, we will be live on Sunday for a watch along. I will not be watching along, but Nate will be joined by the ever so epic fan favorite, Jake the Snake Plummer.
Yep. Jake Plummer is going to be here for the watch along, and so are some other former Broncos legends. You guys will know. I'm not going to reveal any names now, but some of the best Broncos players to ever put on a jersey or a helmet are going to join us downstairs for this watch along. We're going to have a lot of special guests and special things planned for you guys. So when you're watching the game in front of you, watch it with us. Put it on your freaking iPad or your tablet or your phone or whatever you do it.
Bunch of iPad kids out there.
Well, but watch along with us is going to be really fun, and then we'll have the post-game show with Liv as usual, rocking with you guys the whole time.
It's going to be a good time. And obviously, no matter how this season ends, yes, like, subscribe, comment, and share. Come on, you guys. Steve has said it. Now listen, despite how this game ends this weekend, I think there's so much to be excited about when it comes to the Denver Broncos and the things that they've done, the things that they've accomplished. They're setting the bar really high for themselves. Bo Nix in his first year has set the bar really high. And to me, he's the type of guy that can meet the standard that he sets and exceed it, continue to exceed it. So a lot of optimism around the Denver Broncos right now. No matter what happens Sunday, there's a lot to be proud of, but we will be keeping you posted on all things Denver Broncos on Sunday. It is a Broncos takeover on Sunday because this is a big deal, you guys. This is the playoffs. It hasn't happened in a while, and hopefully this is the start of a new era where the Broncos are a playoff team from now until when I'm no longer on Earth. I don't want to ever see those losing seasons again. I'm so serious. So we've got a lot of exciting stuff. We're going to keep you posted. And we've also got some graphics floating out there to remind you about the watch along. So we'll keep posting those out there and let you guys know when you can expect us to go live. We'll have the watch along with Nate and some very special guests. And then I will join for the post game right after that. And hopefully it's all smiles. If not, I'll bring a little sippy of wine maybe. And we'll
console
fine.
each other,
and
but
we'll
I don't think that's going to
fine.
happen. We're going to be celebrating
they're
a victory.
winning.
Yes.
He thinks they're winning. So this has been another Guerrilla Sports Off Field. I'm Liv Moods. That's Nate Jackson. And this is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Just head to trustedamerican.com. See how they can help you save money, either in lowering your interest rate or lowering your monthly payments. They're here to help you save some money. So check out our friends over at trustedamerican.com. And we will catch you on Sunday for the Broncos playoff game. They're on the road taking on the Buffalo Bills. We'll see you there afterwards and during. And hopefully it's all smiles and we're doing a victory dance. But until then, have a wonderful weekend and we'll catch you Sunday. Bye.